Hey, how's it going, everybody? So today we're going to be altering our changelog project just a little bit. So in the last stream, I kind of struggled with the ideology of what we were doing there for a little bit because I was trying to bind the actual changelog posts to the team, well, directly to the team. The reason why I was struggling is because it would be a lot better to not do that and instead have a team have different projects and then have the different changelog posts go onto the project. And then so that's where the project would get the alias instead of our specific team. What did I just do? All right. Oh, I wasn't signed in. Okay, well, there you have it. All right, so let me go ahead and sign back in. All right, there we go. And then I also found and fixed our issue with, well, it wasn't really an issue, it was my issue with what we were doing with the route model binding. And it's really, I don't know how I missed this. I didn't add the bind decorator to the route. So that's why that wasn't working for us there. So first off, what I want to do is change this drop down here. Well, we need to get the project model created and the table created, and then we'll change this particular drop down here to be the projects, and then we'll move teams over here. And I also kind of altered the style of these drop downs here a little bit so that it was a little bit clearer what we were listing out there. So let's go ahead and get our project model and table created. So let's do ace make model. Hopefully this will allow me to add in the migration flag for this. We'll call this project. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And yeah, we'll skip on the factory. Okay, cool. So now we have our project model. I jotted down. Also, hopefully you can hear me. I changed my setup. I kind of just did a 180 from how I was last time. And then my mic is now up here instead of down here in my face. So hopefully you guys can still hear me okay. Let me know if the audio is a little low or anything like that. I can try to make some alterations there. So we have the ID. We'll want to name slug, and then we'll have attachment light attached onto this so that we can add in a logo and a favicon. And then we'll have a primary color field, site URL, access ID, and index ID. And then that will also have access table and an index table, or a search index table, sorry. All right, so let's go ahead and get those columns defined here. Actually, I want to go into the migration first. Let's do the migration first. So let's go into database here, projects, right here, table dot. Oh, I forgot to list out the team ID. So let's do team ID first. Integer team underscore ID, unsigned, references ID in table, teams. And then we'll have table dot string name. We'll limit that to 100 characters because I'm sure if you go, oh, sorry, that should not be unsigned. That meant to do not nullable. Because if you go over 100 characters, I'm sure we're going to have some display issues, maybe even 50 characters. But then we'll have a slug. So table.string slug. We'll put that one to 150 just to account for like the underscores and all that. Not nullable, and we will require that to be unique. And then we'll have a logo and a favicon, which these will both be attachment light fields, and I believe attachment light recommends that you define these as JSON. Yeah, use JSON. So we'll do JSON there. Call that logo, and we'll make that nullable, so we'll just leave that as is. Sorry, and then we'll have a favicon, and then a primary color. I guess we'll just do that as a string. So primary color. We can make that nullable as well. That should actually be really short, so we'll do 20, just in case maybe we want to support RGBA in the future or anything like that. Then we have site URL, so that will be a string site underscore URL. And we can leave that as a max there. And then we'll have an access ID and an index ID. So I should have created these prior to my projects table, but let me go ahead and just copy this and we'll paste it in here. Okay, rename this. And we'll call this Janet, Stop Growling Girl. Accesses. Accesses? Yeah, I guess that would be the correct default term for that. Well, that's what I'll roll with. And if I need to manually name the table, then we'll manually name the table. All right, and then we'll go ahead and get rid of everything here. I think we just need a name for this, just like so. And what this will be is whether or not the changelog should be public, so publicly available to any user, not authenticated and things like that. This will be the public-facing subdomain portion of the application where you actually display the changelog. So that would be public or private there. So we can also do this defer. Sorry, wait, yeah. Async db and do await db dot oh sorry, yeah, the table table this table name dot, yeah, there we go, that's what I was looking for, multi-insert. And then I'm going to go ahead and set up an enum for this as well. So do new file. Accesses, I really don't like that name, but we'll go with it. Enum. All right, and then we'll do public equals 1 and private equals 2. Do we need a comma there? I can't remember. Yeah, all right. And then export default accesses. Give that a save. And then let's go ahead and do search index as well. Search indexes. All right, and we'll have enum search indexes allow equals 1. I had to look and see what the two fields were for this. So allow search engines to index the page, or disallow. Disallow. I think disallow has 1S. Can always fix it later. All right, so now we have those two. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy the accesses table or migration here and paste that in there, since that has the timestamp that we'll need to get before the project. Go ahead and rename this. And we'll call this search underscore indexes. Okay, let's change the table name there. So search underscore indexes. And then let's go back to our accesses and finish creating those actual fields. So we'll have a name of accesses public ID, or sorry, that's the ID. Name public. And then we'll have another one for our ID of accesses private. Name private. Okay. And we can go ahead and just copy that and paste that into our search indexes as well. Already had, all right, never mind. I already have this most of the way there. And then we'll have the same thing, kind of ID search indexes dot allow name allow search engine indexing. And then we'll have another record with an ID of search indexes dot disallow and the name of disallow search engine indexing. All right. And then we need to rig those up as relationships. So integer access ID unsigned references ID in table access. Accesses, I put 2 S's on in there. All right, integer. And then this one was search index ID unsigned references ID in table search indexes. Okay. I think that's all that we'll need there. Yep. Cool. So let's go ahead and refresh our migration. So migration refresh. Oh, search and I bet you I didn't export it. Yep, sure thing. I always forget to do that. Just like whenever I'm working in Vue, I always forget to put the comma at the end of my methods. I don't know why, but every time I forget to do it. All right, so let's go ahead and just rerun that. All right, yeah, I probably didn't import it since I didn't have the export. So let's come back in here. There we go. Just slid my mouse all the way across. All right, let's try that one more time there. There we go. That looks good. Okay. So now that we have that migrated, I guess the next step would be, so instead, well, yeah, no models. We got to do the models yet. So I don't really think we're going to need a model for the accesses or search index, just the projects, because we already have the enum for the accesses and search index bound to the actual database ID. So I really see the IDs being the only thing that we would need there besides labeling out the name. But I think we can load that in via the relationship. Well, no, you do have the option. We'll come to that whenever we get there. Let's go ahead and just finish out the project model. So we do have an at column public team ID of type number, an at column name, public name of type string. We have a slug of type string. I keep forgetting to do that. Public slug string at column public logo. And I think at this point is where we would need to get attachment light installed, because I think we need to set it as a specific type here. Yeah, attachment contract. So let's go ahead and get this installed. Copy that there. Let's move over to here. We'll come back over to this one, and we'll paste that in there to get that installed, and then go ahead and queue up the configure command to configure this within our project. All right. So now we should have that attachment contract. Okay, and then we need to decorate it with attachment as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this import and paste that right on up there. And then for this guy, that would be at attachment. Of type attachment contract. And then we're just going to do the same thing for the favicon. Yeah. So there we go. And then after the favicon, we have the primary color. So public, oh, that's a column. Column, public, primary color of type string, and at column, public site URL of type string. Did I put that in the migration? Oh, that's a searching that. I feel like I forgot that one. Let's double check. No, yeah, okay, I'll put it in there. And then the logo, favicon, primary color, site URL are all nullable, as well as the access ID and search index ID. So I suppose we should be able to just put or null there. I, in full honesty, have not worked with attachment like quite yet, but I assume it would work just like the others with the types there. Slugs required, primary key is nullable, and site URL is nullable, so we'll put that there. And then we also have the access ID and site index ID. So that would be an at column public access ID of type number or null. No. We'll make that actually required. Public with the default access ID, and then we have search index ID. We'll do the same thing with that one there. We'll make a default value for that. So let's go back into the projects and set these as defaults. So not nullable, default to accesses dot, and then we'll default to public, I suppose. Not nullable dot default to search indexes dot, and I guess we'll do allow. Can always flip-flop that later on. Alrighty. So we will need to rerun our migration, but I also remembered that we need to alter something as well. So in the last stream, via my misthinking, I put the slug on the team. On the team, we'll just use the ID. On the project, that's where we'll use the slug. So the team, none of that's going to be public facing, or none of it can be public facing. It's going to be, you need to be logged in, you need to be a member of the team in order to get into here and see anything with the team. So that slug there is not really needed. So we can go ahead and get rid of that, and then we'll get rid of that on the model as well. So that's at team. And then I also put this slugify in here. I'm going to go ahead and just cut this out, and then we'll replace the slugify that we did on the project with this. Since we will want this one to have a slug, we'll go ahead and have that DB generated based off of the name. And then I'm going to go jump back into there and copy the import as well. Oops. Okay, copy that, go ahead and save it. Jump back into project and jump up to the top and paste that in there. Okay. Cool. So let's go ahead and refresh our migration once more. All right, cool. Went through good that time. And we should be ready now to, yeah, that's doesn't exist anymore. And then if I refresh, I should be logged out. Find by expects to receive. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick as well. So that's going to be in our app state middleware. Let's see where. So it's falling back. I did change this slightly as well. So this does not apply at all anymore, actually. So we'll want this to be for our project, which reminds me we do need to do relationships there for that as well. So let's jump into our team. Oh, thought I got rid of that. All right. And the team now has projects. So we can do at, and this should be a has many project, public projects, has many, oops, type of project. Okay, and then on the project, we'll just put the team binding relationship on this for right now. We'll leave this access and search off. So we should be able to do, that would be a belongs to. Okay, belongs to a team, public team belongs to type of team. All right, cool. So now we can jump back into here, and we have the user. We'll want to get Let's see. So I believe we should be able to do a has many. No, yeah. Actually, I don't know whether or not a has many through would work because the user to team relationship is a many to many. And if I remember right, the has many through is specifically just for has many relationships. But what we can probably do is get the team, right? So instead of just caring about the team slug, we'll get the team. Don't need to worry about that. So let's actually jump back in here and replace team slug with just team and give that a save. And then over here, so params.team, let's just do a straight up query there. User related team query dot where ID is, or yeah, ID is params.team, params.team. And we'll do a first check there. And then we should be able to just get rid of that. And then we'll share that team. And then we would want to get the project off of the team. And then the same way that we did it with the user, actually, we're going to have to remigrate again. So the user up here, we added in a user add last access team after all of the relationships have been created. So what I'm going to do is copy the projects timestamp there. I'm going to rename, well, yeah, I'll just do a fresh run. So, and then I'm going to rename this timestamp here to this. Whoops. Well, did I not? Oh, shoot. Okay. I guess I didn't copy it. So let's try that one more time. Copy that. Come into here. Rename that. All right. And just replace that timestamp value. Increment it by 1. So now it's after all of our needed relationships will be created. And then in addition to this last access team ID, we can do table.integer last accessed project ID so that we can keep that within the same fashion. References ID in table projects. All right, let's go ahead and run a fresh migration again. Running fresh this time because I changed that migration, so it's not going to exist whenever it tries to run the down. So migration fresh, it will just drop the database completely. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and add that into the user model. Last access team ID, let's put it right underneath there. So column public last accessed project ID, number, and nullable. And then we'll try to get the team first, and then we'll try to load the project off of the team. That way we're not mix and matching a different project to a different team for a particular user. So whenever we go to actually load that in, I'm going to collapse that down. I don't think we'll need anything else with the database migrations today. Within our app state, whenever we query in the team, what we'll do is then try to go off of the team's relationships so that we don't get any projects that aren't bound to the current user's team. So we'll do team.related projects query. And then here we can try to find the users. Let's see, I don't think app state. Do we require authentication or do we need to check for that? Not currently, but we probably should. All right, let's add that in there before the app state. So we'll do auth. Let me make sure I named that because it doesn't look like I've used it yet. So probably didn't add it into the kernel. Oh, no, it's there. Okay. So let's jump back into our app state. So now we'll know that we have an authenticated user whenever we're in here. So we can go ahead and do query. I'm going to break this down because this is again kind of, oops. Okay. And then, let's see, where ID is the auth user dot, and I think we'll need to check and make sure that this is actually provided on the user before we actually allow this to execute, because otherwise we'll get a null reference exception, or not a null reference, the SQL version of a null reference exception. The not null, the column will, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah. So I'm trying to think of how we could do that without nesting the if, because I really don't want to nest the if here. I know what we'll do. Go to a handy dandy service here. Trying to think whether or not that would be applicable for its own service file, or whether or not we could put it on the team service, or whether or not it would make more sense to just be for the user. So like load user, team project state or something like that. We'll try user service. We'll try that for right now. Export default class, user service, public static async. Shoot, what the heck did I just say? Try shoot. Let me take a look at it one more time and copy it, actually, so that we already have it available. So it's kind of a long name, but at least it's descriptive in what we're doing there. All right, so then this here, whoop, not the view, sorry. Actually, we take the view back out and put that back in the middleware. So if team, butchered that, let's try that again, there we go. If team, then we'll do this. Or I guess just if not team, then just cancel out. So if not team, return. Otherwise, we'll continue on with getting the project. And okay, just get rid of that, get rid of that. Okay. Go ahead and just return a team. So if not team or not user.last access project ID. Nah, let's go ahead and put that in it. Yeah. So if team and user.last access project ID. Oop, let's not forget the brackets. Okay. Then we'll load that in as project. Else if, well, no, don't need an else if. And then let's do let project type project or null. Oh, wait, yeah. And then populate that onto the project. Did that not import? It did not. There we go. All right. Return team and project. And then let's go ahead and just default that to null. And then params team. Yeah. And then a team ID of number. And then we'll replace this with team ID. Okay. That looks right. All right, let's go ahead and give that a save. So we'll load in the team for the provided team ID on the user. So the user will be bound to a team. We'll load in that ID. If the user's not bound to the team trying to be loaded, team will come through, or team won't come back because we're using the relationship to bind that. If we get a team back and the user has a last access project ID, oh, that's what we're missing. Else project equals await, and then let's just grab a project off of the user to load in if there's not a last access project. So we can do team dot related projects dot query, and then just do first. So that's coming back as undefined. Yeah, all right. So let's go ahead and, well, that doesn't really matter to me whether or not that's null or undefined. So I'm just going to go ahead and add undefined to that to make that happy. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and apply this within our app state here in place of this. We'll keep the view share there. So we could do const data, I guess, since we're just providing it directly into the view share. We can just plop it in there as the object it is. Await user service dot try populate user team project. We need to provide in auth.user, and we also need to get the team ID, which would be off of params.team. And then we replace team there with data. Cool. And then we can get rid of that team import up there. Jump back into here. Cannot read property of undefined user. We're not authenticated. Okay. I guess this is running. Let's go into routes. Yep. All right. So it is running in an instance where we may not have an authenticated user. So, all right, I missed that. So let's jump back up into here and add in a check here. So if auth.user. And then that would allow us to get rid of that exclamation point there. Let's try that one more time. There we go. All right, sign up. Oh, before we do that, I did want to change one more thing. So on the auth controller, after the user's created and attempted to be logged in, we have this stub default team. Instead of doing a random name for that, I think what we'll do is use the user's username and then just say that's their team. So something like user.username team. And then we can just get rid of that. We might need that naming service elsewhere, so I'll leave it in there for right now. But yeah, we'll just eliminate its import there. So now whenever we go to create a project or register, we'll get a team created for whatever the username is. So in this case, it would be Tom Gobage's team, and that would be my team name automatically. So one more thing, check real quick. Did I remove this slug off of here? Yes, okay, I couldn't remember if I did that. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and register me. Whoa. Whoa, there we go. Cannot make route team. Param is required to make URL teams team edit. Yeah, we don't need to go to there anymore either. Let's see. I think that's in the auth controller. Wait a minute, go back. Okay, I accidentally hit a key. Let's see here. So here, I think is the issue. it's passing in a param of ID. I think that's now team. Yeah, that's now team. So we registered okay. It was trying to redirect us here, but I don't think we want to be redirected here anymore with the new project structure. Instead, we would just want to go to the team's dashboard, which is right here. So we just need to provide in team and then just go to the root URL. So that would be, and then we can leave in the new user query string there. So that would be, I should have looked, I think it's app dashboard. I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's app dashboard. App dashboard, yeah. I guess it would make more sense to be team. Since we haven't used this anywhere, I'm going to go ahead and just change this to team. No, we'll leave it at. Okay. And then this needs to change to team. And then the ID there is correct. So I also need to remove that. So on the model, we have this route lookup. Let's move that over to the project. That's for the route model binding to change the default key to look for the slug. So since we don't have the slug on the team anymore, we'd want that to be on the project. And then we can jump back into here. Or no, we're done here. So let's jump back into here. We're already authenticated. So if I just try to go to probably be 1. All right, same issue, different page. So within the header now, let me actually look and see what line that was at. 41. So that's within the team dropdown. So we do want to move that as well. It's because this would now be project based instead of team in that particular position. Where is it? Right here. So let's see, team edit, team, and slug does not exist. So that needs to be ID. That's probably the issue. Let's go ahead and save that and refresh just to make sure that was the issue. Yeah. All right, so now we have Tom Gibbich's team. We'll move that over here, and then we'll add in just the account information underneath it, or we can make it, yeah, let's do that underneath it. So let's go ahead and just, I guess, copy this whole UL. I'll leave that in place because we're just going to repurpose it for projects. So we'll copy this, scroll down to wherever the authentication portion is, and I want to grab, I think it's that menu compact class there, but I also want to grab the additional account-based drop-down items, so I will leave that in place for right now. Oh, this does have menu compact on it already, okay. Yeah, so those classes look to match up. And then we have, I think it's just from here down that I would need. So we'll go ahead and just copy that and end this portion of the URL. Just go ahead and get rid of that. And I think it's, looks like it's inside of here that we would need to put that. Let's see how that looks. That might look horrible. Kind of does, yeah. But we'll keep it like that for right now and workshop it later whenever we actually get more stuff done. So that's not small. That I think the prior one that we had was smaller. Well, we'll leave it as is for right now. I'll worry about that. That's a style thing. Don't want to bore you guys with that. So we have our team settings here, so we can go into that. And oh, okay, yeah, let's just go ahead and make sure that we have all of the team bases updated here. So team edit, saying here we have that slug again. We need to get rid of that. We need to get rid of that field completely. And so there we go. That should be it there. All right, let's go ahead and try to update it. Yeah, figured. Cannot make route team param. All right. So teams controller, trying to get that slug in there. Merge data, it's probably on the validator too. App dashboard, team, that would just be the team instead of team slug, and then team ID. Cool. And let's jump back into here. We can get rid of that bind decorator as well. Well, no, actually, no, never mind. I take that back. We're still using that. It's just we don't have the slug property that we're using for it. Cool. So yeah, we're still pulling in a team over there. So let's try that one more time. There we go. Okay. So next, let's repurpose this for projects. So we don't have any projects. So right now it would probably be ideal to list out like a placeholder thing that says, hey, you don't have any projects, create your first project to get started, something like that. I don't know whether or not Daisy has any placeholder, like empty items that we can just use for that. If not, it's fairly, yeah, doesn't, let's just go ahead and make our own. So let's jump back into that app dashboard and add that in here. So that's right here. We have your dashboard. So let's do, instead of dashboard, your teams. And then we can do an at if, and we don't have anything here yet. So this would ideally be if teams.length, but we don't have any, or no, sorry, projects. Projects. So this would be projects.length to check and see whether or not any projects are tied to the user. We don't have that right now. So what we'll do is just if false to make sure that we go into the else, and then we'll just apply that whenever we get to that point. So div class we'll do border to border dashed border shoot, what do they call their gray? Let me go into the header and look because it's in there. Base, I guess 100. And then we'll do rounded XL, padding of 6, and that should suffice for right now. We'll do an H3 class font semi-bold, or we can just do bold. First project, paragraph. Projects are the home for each project has its own changelog, and I'll just I'll workshop that later on. All right, so let's see how that looks. No border. Oh, the border color probably matches up with the background. I was trying to do a lighter color for it, but all right, let's try darker. I don't like darker for that, but worry about that later. And then actually, I think making that 4 would make that stand out a little bit more. All right, not pretty, but it's okay. Margin top of 6. 6 is a little bit too much. Let's do 3. Okay, and then I thought I did not. Projects, class, font, 2XL, font bold. Make that stand out a little bit more. Wow. Did I make this 2XL? Because both of those font sizes look the same. Okay. Maybe it's text. Yeah, it's text. Okay. I always get the font size one confused because it's font size, not text size. But okay. So we have that. Now we need a button, a call to action in there. So let's do that. So at button, buttons, dot. And then I think I have a primary one that would probably stand out. Yeah, primary. And then we made this to where it can accept an href. Right now we'll just do an empty string because we don't have this particular route created. Create your first project. Margin top of 6 on that. There we go. Cool. So now let's create the page that this link would go to actually create a project. I think all that we would need from the get-go is just a name for the project. And then that would allow us to generate out a slug for that. And then if they wanted to, they could delve into the settings for it. So we'll start out with just a name on the page. And it's at this point, I think it might be cool to bring in unpoly, because then we could just do it as a modal to just be like, boom, provide a name, and then we'll take you directly into that project. Yeah, let's do it. So I'm gonna copy my implementation off of the new Atticast site. Whoa, that opened up on the wrong screen. So okay, I need to resize this. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so let me check out that branch. Okay. And first, let's see main layout. I want to copy the script because I think I'm just using the, can't remember if that's at the top or the bottom. It must be at the top. Boom, there it is. Okay, so we'll come back into our, we don't have any layout. Oh, here's the layout. There it is. All right, come back into here. If I remember correctly, we want this to be before the application scripts so that we have access to the underlying events within our application-based scripts. So like you can do up on to add an event listener for specific unpoly events. We'll see if we get into any trouble with unpoly. We'll try it out, and if we get into any trouble, then we'll just backpedal and focus specifically on Project CRUD. But I think it would be cool to implement this. So let's see, we're back within the Atticast project here. I'm trying to look. So I copied a portion of Harbinger Verk's up implementation. So, and I added a couple of stuff to it. So if we go to, like if you search for Adonis.js unpoly, his gist is one of the first things that comes up. Well, the polls app that he made uses that as well, but here's the gist. So it's the second thing here. So if you click into this, he has the context file, exception handler, the index file. So most of what I have is a copy of this. So I don't want to take credit for any of this stuff. So this is all him. I did add a couple of additional methods onto it, like not net file, it's an index. Like I think is unpoly request, is page, just small things like that. And then I forget what I changed. I changed something to help with modals a little bit. I can't remember what exactly it was. But yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy this whole provider folder here. So copy that, come into our changelog application, go into the providers and paste that in. So it's just this up folder. And then let's go ahead and register that. Commands, preloads, providers. Wow, this added a lot to this so far. Let's see. I don't think for this, I don't think the order matters. So this would be providers up, and I think we need, it's like a specific provider. Yeah, provider. Okay, I'm gonna double check that within here just to make sure I have that right. So start, kernel. Nope, sorry, not kernel. .src. Yeah, all right, cool. So it looks like I got that right. And then I'm gonna go take a look at the exception handler because there was a change for that as well. And I can't remember if I altered anything in here for the yeah, I think this is what I added in. Is the set status and the set target for the modal support there. And then I don't think anything else I have in here is specifically for that. So, okay, let me go ahead and just paste this into the exception handler for here. Okay, need a handle method. Let me go ahead and try to take that selection up a little bit more so that we get that actual method there as well. Okay, there we go. So import the HTTP context contract. It doesn't want to, okay, let me. All right, there we go. So essentially this is checking if the error code is a validation error, then it will come into here. It will do the default error handling, and then it will set the unpoly target to whatever the fail target is off of the request. So if it's a modal, what we want to do is show the same errors in that exact same modal. We don't want to swap it out as a separate page or anything like that. And then we want to set the status to 400. That was something that I found in the unpoly documentation, that it handles errors better with particular, I think it was 400 or 401 status. And then I think that's all that should be needed. I don't remember what this was for. That might have been something from the gist. No? Oh, okay. I don't know what that was. I don't remember what this was for. I did a lot of testing with the Attica set data to work the way that I anticipated unpoly to work. So, yeah. All right. So give that a save before I move on from it. And then I'm going to copy the one of the links that I have to create the modal. So, well, I guess first let's go ahead and just get the changelog page created so that we actually have something to link to. So let's go into our routes. Did I have something not saved? Yeah. Okay, the layout. So let's go into our routes, and then underneath here, we want to start adding stuff for our project. So this would be projects create. I was getting ahead of myself trying to think of how I wanted the settings to be laid out. All right, and then if we don't, we'll create a projects controller if we don't already have one, and then pass it on to create as projects.create. We could use a group for this. For some reason, I only like using one or two levels of groups, and most of the time, whenever I have like the projects create, the CRUD operations, the resource-based routes, I like to list them out individually. It's just a personal preference thing. It does make you have a longer route file, but I think it's a little bit easier to find things. Just, again, personal preference. So let's dive into that projects controller. Doesn't look like it's a resource. I'm going to go ahead and just recreate it as a resource. So make controller project, yes. I was hoping it would rewrite it, but that's good that it doesn't for safety's sake. So I'm gonna go ahead and just move that to the trash, and then we'll run through that one more time. Make controller project, yes. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay. So we have our create here. We should just need to grab view off of that HTTP context, and then just return view.render pages projects create. Give that a save, and this will just be a simple page that just shows a name. So we can copy what we have for the team's edit, because I think that's pretty much just the same thing. So we can copy that, come into pages, new file. Sorry, I think I just copied the whole page. So let's do new folder instead. Call this projects. And then inside of projects, let's paste that and rename it from edit to create. All right. create a project. I don't think we'll have any form-based errors, so we can get rid of that. We don't need to check whether or not it's a new user. That actually doesn't apply for the team edit page anymore either. We can replace that back into the dashboard so that if it's a new user, they get displayed some welcome message. That's essentially all that we were doing there. And then I'm back at the team page, back at the create page here. We'll set this up. It doesn't currently exist, but this will be projects.update or create project.store. And then we don't need anything for that. Instead of a put, this will be a post. And then we'll just have a basic name. It won't have a default value. And then inside of these inputs, it's already grabbing the flash messaging for the default value. So if we get an error, it will persist the value for that automatically for us. Just that's directly inside of the input logic there. So replace that with create project. And I think we should be good. Let's go ahead and rig up the routes for this. So we'll need to also do the store route so that we don't get an error on that. So route.post projects controller store as projects store. Give that a save. And there's not much to it, so we can go ahead and make this happen. Well, okay. Let's just make sure that the page renders okay first. For that, we'll rig up the link that's in the dashboard page here. Create your first project. Route. And this will be app.projects.create. And we'll have a team of, and we should have a team.id on the state. Let's see if that works. Yeah. All right. Let's see what this error would be. So projects create, one projects create. Let's see. So here's where the one is, the team ID. Projects create. We have the projects controller.create there. We're returning back view render. I wonder if I have the wrong path here. Pages, projects, create. I saved it. Let me try restarting the server. I don't know if me adding in that new provider messed anything. Oh no, it's a cannot find route projects.store. Okay, yeah, so that should be at projects.store. So right here, at projects.store. Hit refresh. Still no at projects store. Okay, let's jump back into the, let's take a look at the route definition for that then. There we go. Team params are required. Yeah, all right. We'll get there. So that's here. So we do need a param for the team. That's our app state, making that team globally available wherever we're at. So cool. So we have our creation. So with unpoly, it would be nice to just, instead of going directly to this page, just whenever you click create new team, it would open it up in a modal. After you create the new team, we'll redirect you straight to that team's settings page. So let me go look and see what exactly I'm doing to open up that modal with the correct fail state instead of digging through the documentation, because it took me some time to figure out the correct way to get a modal to open up and return back to it after the error and return back inside of the modal still. That was the hard part, while also maintaining going to a different page afterwards. So it was hard to figure out how to get it to maintain in the modal whenever you have an error, but go to a separate complete page after the error because it kept wanting to put it back inside of the modal, the brand new page, and you don't want the new page mode inside of the modal. So there is a specific set of attributes that you need to use here. So I'm trying to think of where next headers. I think it's the bar banner. Yeah. Oh, is that it? Just up layer new modal? That can't be right. Oh, it's okay. That is right to get it to open up inside of a modal. The difficult portion was actually inside of the sign up page where you have that. So here, where we have this, I think on the buttons I put an ATTRS attribute that propagates through the buttons. So let me go take a look at the primary button, make sure that I have that ATTRS. There it is on the base. ATTRS, cool. So a simple way to just allow you to pass through attributes to your components so that you can support stuff like unpoly. So we can do ATTRS there, and then we can just paste that in as a string, and then we'll just apply it as an attribute on the actual component. Give that a save. And now if we come back into our, I don't think we have anything linking to it. No, I don't. Okay. We need to change that home path to go here. But now this should just open up in the middle. Ah, shoot. All right, that might come back to that thing where we need to restart the server to pick up the new. Oh, no, we did get an error. Okay. Where expects value to be defined, but undefined is passed. I'm going to go ahead and just try rebooting the server just to get that out of my brain, that maybe we have an issue. Okay. So let's see if we get that same error. We probably will, since it's an actual query-based error. Yeah. Oh, no. No, we didn't. Okay. Let me make sure that the attributes are actually propagating. Yeah, we're getting undefined there. So it's not propagating through completely. So I have something messed up in the flow where we're passing ATTRS through our buttons. So this is a primary button. So if we dive into primary.edge within our buttons, looks right there, but it is coming through as undefined here for whatever reason. And I think that might need to be 3. Okay. Well, let's change that to have a value. So at set ATTRS as ATTRS or an empty string. That will allow us to do that. It might be an issue of it not actually being set at this level. No, it's still not coming through, but it's not undefined anymore, but the actual value is whenever we get into here. Let me try it at this level here. Oh no, that, okay, yeah, let me try it here as well. Just guessing at this point, kind of. See if maybe it's a propagation issue. No, all right. I'm gonna cheat. Go take a look at my buttons over here. So primary base. I made my scroll bar too small. I can't click on it. There we go. So I should have, yeah, ATTRS right there. And I'm not doing anything with that. I'm just providing it straight in. So interesting. And then the base, yeah, it is 3. Okay. So it could be the difference of the 2 versus the 3 there, but you would still think that it would apply in some form here, and it wouldn't come through as undefined. But I figured it would need to be 3 since it's directly applying it attributes as a string. But let's go ahead and try to give that a save, see if that applies it. Nope. All right. Let's see here. What else could be the issue? Let's go ahead and get rid of that since it's not an issue on the Attacast site. We know that that's not the case here. Give that a save again. And it could be, let's do the same thing with the href. see, it could be something I'm not ending right here. Everything looks right. I can't see any issues. So we're back to having that undefined. All right, let's inspect at this level. See if we have it here or if it's at the base level. It's there. Okay, so it's not coming through to our primary button. So it might be how I'm applying it on, where is it's here. All right, so I'm calling it ATTRS. Is that the correct name? ATTRS. ATTRS. Okay. I'm fairly certain that this works. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm doing it elsewhere. Let's see. Let's try just passing something in. So we'll do... We'll try moving it to the front just to verify. We'll see whether or not it is an actual issue with one of the other attributes that we have. ATTRS. Yeah, no, it's still undefined. So... Huh. All right. That's kind of confusing to me. That buttons, primary, have everything right there. We're getting the inspect. The name's right. Let's try just a basic string without it. That's weird. That's bizarre. We are getting the class name through, right? Yeah, class name's coming through. I copy the name just in case I'm being crazy here. Okay, well, that's kind of bizarre, but maybe I'm being dumb and that's a reserved word. I don't think it is, but let's try full-on attributes. Yeah, that's coming through as undefined as well. AT&T. Yeah, that's really weird. Huh. Okay, well. I'm kind of at a loss on what's wrong there. Oh, I'm still inspecting. I'll try it one more time just for sanity's sake. And yeah, it's still coming through as undefined. Can't remember if it's scope or state. State. Must be state. All right, let's see if we can find it. So you can see our href, our class name, It's not applying it for whatever reason. Yeah, even within the props, you can see it's not coming through. So I don't know, maybe it's something with the name. If it is, it's probably something newer because I'm pretty sure this is working on the AutoCast site. What would be an alternative name for that? Just try up, maybe? See if that comes through. Did I not save? I did save. Oh, we're still getting the state. Oh, no, we're getting, nope, over. Yeah, because that's shared, so up would not work at all. Because that already exists. Let's try up ATTR. Last thing I'm going to try, and then we'll move on from just trying this. All right. Weird. All right. I will delve into that off camera and let you all know why that's not applying. In the meantime, what I'll do is one last sanity check here. Yeah, okay. It's not coming through with the base one either. So what we'll do is we'll just copy base here. Oops. And I will replace this. I'll comment this out. Actually, let's put primary back in there, and I will look into this. And then we'll just move on with an actual non-componentized button there. I'm probably doing something not right there. I just am not seeing it for whatever reason. Oh. I'm not even doing this in the right spot. Good grief. That's probably the whole issue. It's not an anchor. That's a submit button. The things we waste time on. I apologize. Where this, I need to be in the dashboard. I'm on the wrong page. I'm so sorry. I don't know. All right, so let's see. It's up layer equals new modal. 9.9 out of 10 times, it's always just something dumb you're doing instead of an actual issue with something you're working with. I'll tell you that much. All right, so there's our up layer new. So now if we click it, okay. Let's see, up failed. Could not find a common target because we haven't set up. So if we go back into the AutoCast site here and we go into that main layout again, there needs to be a layout root and a up main. The up main is what it will swap the page contents out with. So we can go back into our layout on the body, set that as the layout root. And then here we can do up main as our main page contents. I think up header was something manually I did. I don't remember why I put that in there, but it's not an actual attribute for unpoly if I remember incorrectly. But we do want to alter a portion of our header to be hungry. Hungry just means it's going to automatically update with each request that you make. So at this point in time, if we were to click through to the modal, nothing within our header would update because nothing in here is set to update since it's not within our up main. Only things within our up main would update by default. So then anything within our header would not, unless we mark it as such. So what we would want to update is see, that's the mobile dropdown. This one, so it's currently the team drop down, but the one on the left side, which we'll be changing to be a project drop down. So we'll set that as up Hungary. And then we'll also update the authentication portion of this to be up Hungary as well. Just in case anything with the authentication state changes, if somebody changes their username, something like that, it would automatically update as well. So let's try that one more time. Boom, there we go. Now it's in a modal. We do need to change the modal styles, but we do have our page contents. So we should be able to just come into, let me look and see what I did over here, because it's just a style thing. So I'm just going to copy and paste it in here. So I think it was up modal. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and just copy that. Let's see, copy everything that we have there for it. Actually, I'm applying custom background coloring to it, so maybe not, but yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and just copy all of that. Come in here. Okay, paste it in here. And then we'll replace this portion here with, I think it's base. And then we'll make that 300 so that it's darker than the background color. And then we can just get rid of a border. It doesn't need to be a border. Okay, and that should be all that we need to change, I think. So now if we click on it, there we go. Okay. Oh, that doesn't match the, okay, so yeah, okay. It'll match the same color as our base background then. And you can see what happened there. Since I refreshed the page, it just went in as its own page. Let's go back to that. Click on that. Ah, still don't have the coloring right. What the heck is that color? 200. All right. So now if we do that, and you can kind of see that interaction. So you click on the button, it opens it up in a modal. There we go. Now we got the coloring right. And then if you click outside of the modal, it just goes back to the page that you were on. And if you take a look at the actual URL, the URL updates. So now we're at projects create, click outside. Now we're back at that original page. So that's one nice way to just kind of make your monolithic server specific rendered application kind of SPA based. And you don't really need to do anything with Vue, React, or any of that mess to get it working. So next, we just need to rig up this create a project form to actually create a project. So I think we have the route, but I didn't do the action. So let's make sure that I didn't mess anything up whenever I was messing with Unpoly to make sure that we get this working okay. All right. And then this is the one that needs the attributes to come back to it if it ends up erroring out. So we don't have anything with the store right now, so I can't show you. But if we did have validation and all that with the store, then we would run into that issue. So let me go into here, copy this. Yeah, see, I knew I was using ATTRS somewhere. And then it takes this whole bit right here. You can create aliases, which would probably actually be pretty good to do in this case. So let me go take a look and see how you do that. I'll circle around. Let's just make sure that we have stuff working first. So let's see right here, paste that in there. So we have form sign in. So let's replace this with form project create. And then over here where we have that form sign in, we do form project create. And that's just setting this particular form as the actual failed target. So this would be the portion that comes back and updates if we do run into a validation error. Okay, so we should be able to give that a save and then go ahead and rig up our project controller store method. So we'll want request, response, params, and I don't know whether or not we would need auth, but we'll get auth just in case. And then we'll want to make a validator. Call this project store. because it's going to be very different from the edit. Oops. Get rid of these so that everything fits on the screen. There we go. Import rules. All right, so at this point in time, all that we have is a name. That's pretty basic. We could have just done that in the controller, but all right. Schema, string, and we do need a rules dot. Let's do min length and max length. So min length of 3. Max length, I think we set it to 100. Yeah, 100. And yeah, it's pretty basic, but that should be all that we need there. Project store validator. Let's see. This binds to the team, so we'll want the team. I think what we'll do in this use case, because we already have the team populated within our app state middleware. So this is going to run before we actually get into that route handler, and we're sharing it with the view data. But what we can also do is conditionally share it with our HTTP context. But we're going to have plenty of routes that would not have this for the public facing side of things. So we don't just want to plop it on the actual HTTP context. It might be that we need it the majority of times, but there's times where we won't need it, where it won't be propagated. So I think what we'll do is create our own application context. And so we can come down to the contracts, create a new, call this HTTP context, declare module at IOC. I think we'll go ahead and just reuse the namespace and just do, I'm trying to remember what all you need for this. Interface, app, HTTP context. Since I'm naming it app HTTP context because this is all the application portion that this would mostly apply to. So there is a reason behind that. And then see, extends HTTP context contract. And then we would want to do project, no, well, yeah, so you do have the project, but you also have the team. So we'll do team as team. And I'm trying to think of whether or not that would always be persisted. Because you come into here, it's going to be the get. Yeah, no, that does only load for get, doesn't it? Well, we can change that. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. So let's populate it for get post put. That way we always have our team and our project available, because in most cases, not always, but in the vast majority of cases, we're going to need to either reach for the team or the project to relate things off of, or query off of. So we'll go ahead and just nix that change out. Let's see, we don't need to request any more off of that then. And so for the app HTTP context, I guess it would be safe to say, since this is authentication required, that we will always have a team, but we won't always have a project, because the user might not have a project created. So, but we create a team by default. So I think it's safe to say we'll have a team. We can always change that later on if that's not the case for whatever reason. And then we'll have a project. So project or null. And I can't remember if you need to do question mark there or not. Or if I think the or null suffices. All right, so let's jump back into our project controller here, and let's replace this with our app context contract. I think that should be available to import off of the same namespace here. Oh. Eh. I prefer to stick with the default naming convention, so let's change that from app HTTP context to app context contract. So we'll just replace the HTTP with app. All right, app context contract there. Let's replace everything in here with that. Okay. And so now what we'll have is we can import our team off of there. We also could have probably used route model binding, but since we're already importing it with the middleware, then I think that's simple enough there. And that would also conditionally get us the team as well, or the project as well. So what I was saying with the route model binding is we do have it right here. But for the get requests, why query it twice? So yeah. All right, so we'll have our team there, so we can do const project equals await team related projects create and provide in that data. We already have the default set within the database side for what the default values for the project should be on the access ID and the search index ID. Those are really the only things that aren't nullable that would need a default value beyond the name. And then this should automatically generate on a slug for us, which the slug will serve as the actual public facing or conditionally public facing changelog. So it would just be, we'll set it as a subdomain that way. So I think that's all that we would need to do there. Unless you want to add in a default listing of specific categories, but we can do that later on whenever we get to the category phase of adding categories in. So for right now, I think that suffices. So maybe we don't need any of this. And then we just return response dot redirect dot to route. And I don't think we have this created yet. Let's go take a look. Nope, we don't. So we want the I guess we'll do this as the show page. From a functionality standpoint, it will serve as like the settings page for the project. But there's really not going to be any physical show page at the application level that we'll have for a specific project. So so this would just be projects, project. I'm going to backpedal on that, not using the route model binding there in our app context contract. I'm going to backpedal on that decision and instead use route model binding. Because now if I get here, there's no specific thing to state that the parameter project is going to be the same as the user's last project. And we're not even setting that at this point, the user's last project. That would be actually, do need to do that whenever we store. So let's go ahead and save this, jump back into our project controller. After we create it, we do want auth. And so after we create it, we're going to direct them directly into that project. So we'll want to set this as await auth user dot last access project ID equals project.id. Oh, sorry, that doesn't need to be await. And then auth user dot last access team ID, just in case. I don't think that would necessarily change, but we can make sure that it's in line, since we'd be creating a project anyway, and we need to persist it. So may as well just make sure it's in line. Auth user. Save. Okay. Oh yeah, it doesn't like that being conditional. Well, in order to create a project, you will need to be authenticated. So we'll go ahead and just specify that as such. All right, to route app projects show. We're going to need a team let's drop that down. Team of team.id and project of project.id. Okie doke. And I'm going to backpedal back to what I was stating before on this particular thing right here. So let's go ahead and do HTTP context contract. Sorry about my indecision there, but I think it would be better after a little bit more thought to use the route model binding instead of our custom contract there. We'll leave that there just in case in the future, but well, nah, I'll take it out just so it doesn't confuse anybody. Take that out. Don't want anybody to come across and say, well, where in the world is this? What's this doing? All right. And then we will apply at bind from the route model binding. We do have that team param, so that should come through as the first one. It's on the group, and set that there. Okay. Cool, looks good. So now let's do the show while we're here. This will be bound as well, so bind. Oops. Let's see, we're gonna need view for sure. And then we'll need, while I'm thinking about it, let's go back in here and undo. Make sure that that only runs for GET requests. Okay. Back into here, and let's go ahead and grab the team. And then we'd have the project there as well. Oh, not the validator. Just the project. There we go. Okay. I think all that we need to do is provide that into the show. And then we should be able to get everything that we need off of that, at least for now. I don't think we're going to get to using or to uploading the logo or favicon in this particular stream, since we've already hit the 90-minute mark, but we can at least get the name, subdomain, that basic level set up, and then we'll hone in on it in the next stream. So we can do just return view.render, pages, projects. Yeah, we'll just name it show. I was debating on index or show, but since the method name is show, let's do show there. Team and project. But we will run into an issue here because we're already using these names. And this comes into the point where I was debating on whether or not we should use an app context contract, a custom app context contract that comes off the app state, or the route model binding. And I think, well, we are getting the specific team there off of the params. It's not off of the last used. Well, no, it is. It is. But if there's a team ID on the params, oh, let's do project too. That would solve it. That's the issue I'm thinking of here. So params dot project. Butchered that spelling. All right. I'm going to put a question mark there. It doesn't need to be there, but I'm going to put it there. That way, whenever I look at this, I know I'm not expecting project to always be here. Just a little visual cue to myself there. All right. So, and then we'll do project ID of number or undefined. All right. So, and then we can switch this up a little bit more. So add in an additional elf-ish else if statement there. Actually, I'm thinking we would probably want this to be first before the last accessed. So let's swap that out. Instead of here, that would be here. Instead of here, that would be there. And then let's just take this copy it, paste it in here because all that we're going to need is replace that where statement. Value to project ID. We could clean that up so it's just a single if statement, but I'm going to leave it as is since that would work anyway. And yeah, so be a little bit more clear on what we're doing. But you could make it a single one by doing project ID or last accessed. But this will suffice. So now we have that set up to where the team and the project are going to be based off of the param that's provided, meaning within the get requests for our project, we don't need to use route model binding. They will already be here. So well, they're not on the contract, they're on the view. But we don't need to worry about providing them in because they will already be there. Okay. So that's the show, which is essentially the edit. Well, if it's the edit, I guess it would make more sense to actually just use the edit, wouldn't it? Should be the last place I need to change that. There we go. Okay. And then we'll want the form for that. So team project create, we'll just go ahead and we'll want to change the look of this for sure because we're going to have a number of different fields. But for right now, we'll do edit. Project name. And then I'm going to go ahead and just define the route. Put project. Excuse me. Update is projects update. All right, we're not going to focus on the actual method for that quite yet. Updates. So we have the theme ID there already. We do need the project. Okay. And then the name, that will need a value of project name. We can copy that, paste this in here. We'll have the subdomain, but the actual name that we'll use under the hood is slug. And then we can go ahead and put site URL in the same section, I think. And this would just be the URL. So like if somebody clicks on your logo or whatever on the actual changelog page, this would be the URL that you would want it to go to. So in most cases, it would be your actual site URL, not your changelog URL. So, so site URL there. Site URL. Okie dokie. And then update project. And change this from a post to a put. And we don't need any of this unpoly stuff in here because this will be in its own page. Oh, yeah, no, I take that back. We do want this to be up handle, up send, up submit. I think up submit. Forms. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, up submit. and that's just going to cause Unpoly to handle that submission. Okay, so create your first project. Let's try this out. Autocasts, create project. All right. We came back into our team 1, project 1 URL, but it does look like we have something going on here. Pages project show, because I changed it to edit. That makes sense. Projects, looks like I didn't change the, edit key. Boom, there we go. So we have our name, we have our subdomain, and then we have the site URL. We haven't done the update project functionality yet. While we're here, it would be good to go ahead and, I keep wanting to say propagate, populate that information within here so that we can see what project we're on. So let's go ahead and jump into the header. So header, and scrollio on up into, is it this one? Let me go up to the top just, yeah, I think it's that. So where we have this team name, it would instead be project name. We do want to wrap this in, instead of an and team, check for the existence of a project. So we have project name, manage project, at projects edit, which would need a team and the project. And project.name.settings, create new project. All right, we already have the route for this, so we can go ahead and populate this. So app projects create. We do need a team. And we need up layer new modal. I'm missing something. I'm missing my curly braces to end that. I'm going to break this down so that whenever I'm skimming, I can see it easier. Do that for this one too. All right. Ooh. I don't like that. Let's do that. There we go. Okay. It's a pet peeve of mine to have two attributes or two elements started on the same line like that, unless you have everything on one line. Okay. So, and then we have our switch teams, which would list out teams, which we don't quite have yet, but we will in the future. So we have our Autocasts here. We have our Autocast settings, which would ironically take us right back to the same page. And then we do have the create new project, which opens up in a modal. So we can come in here and we can create we can create a changelog for our changelog app. Create that project. We get switched to our changelog app now, where we can then update its details. And then what we would want to be able to do is switch the specific, that says team still, but the project that we're on. So switch this to switch project. And then we can go ahead and populate those real quick. So that would be within our app state. So let's add an S onto that. I'm gonna go ahead and just peek the definition there. It's just gonna open it up down here where I can alter it in two different places at the same time. So populate team user projects. Okay, and then we have the team here. We'll also want all of their projects. So, shoot. All right, well, I hit the exit key trying to get out of that tooltip. So, all right, we're no longer peeking. We're just now inside of our user surface. So let's see. I think what would probably be best is just to preload the projects. Oh, preload directly onto the team. order it by the name. Okay, so now we have access to the projects for the team through the team property. So we can jump back into our header here. And where we have this, we can cut that out and we can do at each project in team.projects. We should always have a project property populated if we have a team, but for sanity's sake, let's add a check for team there as well. And then we'll paste this in. And then what we'll do is break that apart. Break that apart. All right, we'll have the project name there. We'll have an href route. Trying to think of what do we want to do here? Do we want to return them back to the same page that they were on for the previous team, for this new team? Is there a use case where that might not be applicable? Hi, Gina. Doggy saying hi. Or do we always want to redirect them to the same page every time that they switch a project? So like the edit or the settings page. For sanity's sake for right now, let's go ahead and just do the same page every time to the settings page. We can always change that later on. So let's do app, projects, edit, team. All the projects are going to be applicable to this particular team that you're in. So it's always going to be the same team ID that we have populated here. And then the project would be that particular project ID. So we do have project on the outside of this loop here, but we also have it inside. This inside one will get priority whenever we try to use it here. So I'm not worried about using the same name there. It'll still work out the way that I anticipate. So if we come back into here, let's go to actually a different page so that we can verify that we come back to this page. So we can come into here and let's change. Well, we also need to list them out here too. But now you can see we have our switch project, we have our Adacasts, and we also have our changelog app. Right now we're on our changelog app. We can add a signal in there to specify this one's your active one, but if we click on Adacasts and boom, we switch to that one, and we come into the edit page for that. If we switch to changelog, we go back to this one. So everything seems to be cool there. Let's try updating, getting the update done here. So projects controller updates. For right now, the update method will just focus on that priority listing that we have here. We're going to have several different sections. So we'll have this section here, which will be the primary one that we'll handle within the update method. And then we'll have, this will also have the logo and the favicon on it later on. Probably get to that in the next stream. Then we'll also have visibility settings and the customization settings with like the primary, I don't know, logo, favicon, and primary color would probably go into its own section called something like branding or something of the sort. And then access ID and search index ID would go into like a visibility section. So we'll have different sections for this. So this one will just be handled by the update, and then we'll have the other sections be handled by different methods. So with an update, all that we anticipate are those three fields. So we'll want request, response. I think that might be it. And then we can set this to bind. I don't think we'll need a team. Shouldn't need a team at all. But we do need to actually load the team to get to it. To get to the project, that is. Excuse me. Excuse me. Since it'll be passed through as the particular argument set. So the route model binding goes off of the parameter order. So since team's on the group, it's going to come first. Project's on the individual layer, so it's going to come second. So that's why we have that there. We're going to run into the issue with that being not used. So I'll add an underscore there so the TypeScript knows that I know it's there, but I don't want to use it. And then the project will want to, let's go ahead and create a validator. Project, we'll call this update. That way we can have a separate one for the different methods that intend to use this. And to keep this from getting lengthy, we will separate this out into its own separate validator file. So for this one, we'll have our 3 fields. So we'll have name, schema string, definitely required, rules. We do want to keep the same rules that we have for the store here. So the thought just occurred to me, I wonder if you can extend the schema. I don't know how that would work. Let me try it. Let me try it. Normally I created a separate folder within validators called shared or something like that, and it just contains the separate rules. And that's how I share rules across different validators. But I've never... Sure, why not try something out while we're streaming? Project store validator. It's not coming up. Yeah. See, I'm not entirely sure where that would be within here. Oh yeah, we need to create a new instance of it, and I don't. That would get kind of ugly. So let me go with my initial thought with how I normally do this. So essentially, what I want to do is make sure that the creation and update rules are in sync. So what I will do is create a shared file. We'll call this shared project rules. I'm gonna go ahead and there we go. Project rules.ts. And then we need to import the rules and the schema. Or you could just, export the rule set for it so that you would just apply it within the rules here. Up to you. I actually think that's what I normally do, but try this out. Okay, so there we go. So now what we would want to do is for the name here, we can actually expand this object with, we didn't give it a name because it's just a basic object. Let me give this a name. Export there we go. Export const shared project rules. That way it has a name. So then we can import this as ... shared project rules. I don't like that capitalization there on the first letter. Switch that up. There we go. Just looks weird spreading an object that starts with a capital letter there. All right, so that's going to include our name automatically. And then we have the slug's auto-populated, but we do want to make sure that it's included. So, and unique. So slug would be schema string rules, min length of 3 rules, max length. I need to import rules. I think we did 150 for the column, that is the database column. And then rules unique, table, projects, column, slug, case insensitive true, because subdomains aren't going to care about that. So we need to make sure that it's unique despite the casing. And then import our rules. All right. And then we also have the site URL. So schema string, optional for sure, dot URL. And then we can tell it to go ahead and normalize it too. Why not? I got a squiggly. What's the squiggly? I expected. Did I not end that in a comma? I did not. Okay, I guess I accidentally hit spacebar. All right, I'm going to break this down because that's a long rule set. Make it a little bit easier to scan. There we go. That's better. All right, so we have our project update validator there. Let's jump back into our projects controller. Const data equals await request dot validate project update validator. And then all that we need to do is await project merge data save. And we're done. And then we can return back. So for this, we'll just actually return back. Because there's really not anywhere else to take them. So we can always add in flash messaging. We'll do that at some point to say, you know, your changes were successfully saved. But at this point, if we hit update, all right, what's the error? Row not found. Oh, right. Project is going to use slug. I changed the key on that, but on this side, I think it's worthwhile to have it maintain the IDs. I'm trying to think of which side would be. I guess let's go ahead and get rid of that and have it use the ID overall, because I think the back end portion that we have here is going to outnumber the front end portion that we would have visible where we would actually want to use the slug. So we'll go ahead and take that key off so that it doesn't try to use the slug for the lookup. And then we'll go ahead and go back and let's give it another go. Right. Because it does exist, but we want to exclude the current record from that check. So project update. So we're going to add another key to this. So let's break this down too. Okay. And then we'll have, I think it's where? And I don't remember. I think that's an object. And you need to provide like the ID. I think that's right, but I can't tell you. So let's go look. Jump down into here, go down to the validator section. Which one would that be in? Probably the introduction, maybe. It might be in the reference, actually. Unique additional constraints. Yep. All right, so it looks like it takes the database portion. So yeah, I guess what I have there is right. So long as we're okay to reach for the context that way, which I think we are. But so let's go ahead and give that another go. Jump back in here, jump back into there. No, we're still getting, let me refresh, get rid of that error, make sure that that's, yep. Oh, I'm doing where. We need to do where not. Where not that ID. Before we were checking to see whether or not it did exist. So, yep, there we go. All right, hit that again. Let's go ahead and put an S on there. Put an S on there. Boom, it changed. We saw it. It's changed in there, changed in there. Everywhere it propagated. Looking good. Just go ahead and change that back because we don't need an S on there. So sweet. I guess next we could add in a delete. Again, I will change the look of this page so that we can actually have different sections we'll put kind of like panels in here. But for right now, we can just add in a delete button somewhere to get delete. Done. So team controller, we have our destroy. We can go ahead and bind that because we'll need it. Response, I think, is all that we'll need out of there, I think. And then we'll also want team, project, and then everything bound to the project via relationships, because I'm not cascading anything, would be just the access ID and the search index ID, which belongs to relationships. So once we delete the record, those will automatically go out with it. It's just the belonging to the team portion that we need to take care of, making sure that we remove it from the team prior to deleting it. So what we'll want to do is await team. Actually, we can probably just project dot. All right, wait. Why do we have red squigglies? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so they're all that except for project. Project's not happy. I guess we didn't have that imported. Okay, there we go. Oh, I'm in a Teams controller. Let's go back. All right. And jump over to projects. I was thinking that was really weird that project wasn't already imported. All right, response. Team, project. Okay, so we should be able to do await project dot related team dot disassociate to remove that relationship, and then await project dot delete to delete it out. Then it comes time to, well, where do we take the user after they delete their team? Just do another project, or you could take them to their team dashboard. Team dashboard probably makes the most sense, so we'll do that. So we can return response redirect to route app dashboard. Yeah, I spelled that right. Team of team.id. All right. And let's rig up that route. Route delete projects / project. Projects controller dot destroy is projects dot destroy. Okay, so we have that. And now we need to rig up a button to it on our project edit page. So we'll put this outside of the form. Actually, we'll put it outside of the card that this is within. So we'll do at buttons dot base. No, not base. Secondary ghost base link. Yeah, maybe base. We'll try base. I think that still comes with a gray coloring. Type submit. We do want to wrap this in a form. Forms dot. Did I name the form delete or destroy for this one? Delete. Action route app projects destroy. ATTRS up submit. And actually, I didn't show you guys what that looks like in the console with the put, so we'll do that here before we test out the delete. So then we have our button. Delete form. Delete project.name. And there's actually, I think, if we go back to the unpoly documentation, back to the forms, I think there's like an up confirm. Let me search for it. Yep. Excuse me. Then we just pass in a message. It uses the native browser prompt, but that'll suffice. So here we are. I guess that would go on the up confirm to delete the project name. Okay. And it does look like something is not happy here. Okay, so it is just that page. Let's see what the error is. Team param is required to make the URL, so I must have missed it on the delete. Yeah. Oh, I didn't pass anything in there. Okay. Team ID, project ID. Let it save. Okay, that's not the next. There we go. All right, refresh. And let me make that centered. Can't remember if I put class name on the forms. It doesn't look like it. All right, I'll wrap that in a div. Okie dokie. All right, let's put a margin top on it as well. There we go. So what I wanted to show you guys before we test our deletion here is, if we take a look at the network log here, and I hit update on this, you can't see that too well, but we did hit our put and then we just redirected. So like if I hit that again, you'll see that all of this stays. Make sure I have persist log off. So anytime that you make a request, this refreshes. So like if I were to refresh here, it empties out, comes with a fresh, refresh here, empties out again. But if I hit this, yeah, it is refreshing, huh? It shouldn't be. So it doesn't look like unpoly is handling that. So let's find our form, and our form does not have the attribute. Back to that same old issue that I circled around on forever. But on this one, it's probably just the fact that I didn't put ATTRS on these forms. So let's take a look at put. And there we go. There is the issue. So let's put the 3 brackets ATTRS there. Let's copy that and put that on all of our forms. And then I'll show you guys what I wanted to show you. All right, so now if we come back in here to the network, we already have some requests off. So we'll try to send this off. And you can see we maintain those old requests, but we also have our new ones, meaning it's all happening on the same page. We're not refreshing the entire page. It's just we're sending out an actual API request via unpoly. You can see that's actually unpoly handling that. And then it's also replacing the page content with the up main designation that we made within our page. So it's only that up main portion that's getting swapped out in addition to anything that we'd signified as up hungry. So that's really nice. It kind of gives you that SPA like experience. We could do preserve scroll on that as well so that we come back to the same scroll position. So, oh, where is that? That'd be like right here. So right here, we can do up. I think it's up scroll equals preserve, if I can spell it correctly. So like if we scroll down here and we hit that, we stay at the exact same scroll position so that we don't jump back up to the top of the page. So if you're doing something that just needs to update a value on the back end, really nice way to do that as well. So I've been messing around with Unpoly for a brief bit and I'm really enjoying it. So if you haven't messed around with it, I recommend giving it a try because it actually makes a really nice application experience. Plus you get to actually use Edge.js, which I absolutely love. So it just, your code base stays a lot more simplified as opposed to bringing in a whole different front end, like a reactor view. So, and plus if you do need additional functionality like that, you always have Alpine. Then you do have HTMX. Did I say that right? HTMX. Yeah. And their whole ecosystem as well. That makes things like swapping front end specific things without API requests a lot easier as well. So let's test our delete. I think I finished rigging that up. So if we come into here, hit our delete, we should get a confirmation. We do. Are you sure you want to delete your Okay, that's my bad. That's still on the server side that we're doing that string. So instead of normal string there, we want to do backticks. And then instead of using the interpolation there, we want to use this to do project name. And now if we hit delete, there we go. Are you sure you want to delete your project? Changelog app, we can hit OK. Looks like we got an error. Delete from projects where ID update or delete on table projects violates for key constraint. User last access project ID foreign key. I did forget about that. So we still have our project. We can go ahead and refresh. We can go back into here. Ah, shoot. All right, I unbound it. So it did unbind. We need to put that inside of a transaction. Oh, shoot. I meant to delete. Kind of weird that nothing's showing up there. Oh, I bet you're just getting an error because, well, I'm not entirely sure why. All right, well, let me go ahead and fix that in the database, and then we'll write that in a transaction to make sure that that doesn't happen. So we should still have the project. The project should exist. It's just not bound to a team. So if we just rebind that to a team, persist that to the database, give the page a refresh. All right, there, everything's back. And now let's go ahead and wrap that inside of a transaction so that if we do run into an error deleting, the disassociate doesn't actually persist to the database. And we can do this pretty simply just by attaching the actual transaction to the project. So we can do const trx equals await database dot transaction, and then project, trying to remember exactly its use transaction, then we pass in that trx. All right, and we won't fix the issue. We'll leave the issue there just to test and make sure that our transaction's working okay. So let's go ahead and test this again. So let's go into our changelog app settings. Let's try to delete it again, knowing that we're going to get an error. But whenever we get the error, if we refresh our page, everything should still be intact. We do want to fix the fact that this comes back as a broken page, but we just want to make sure there's our error. If we refresh, everything is still associated. So our transaction's working okay. I'm not entirely sure why that's coming back as a broken page. Oh, well, yeah, because we didn't wrap anything instead of a try catch. Simple enough. So we have the team dissociation there. I think yeah, we didn't. We can make this easier on ourselves instead of reaching for all of the users. We can define the relationship here. So at has many user public users as many type of user. And I do want to change the name of that because I know that's going to be confusing. So that's not the actual, it's not all of the users bound to the project. This is just users with default. They have this set as their last access with last access. Something like that. Users with last access. Just trying to make that a little bit more descriptive. And then I think it's the foreign key that we would want to set to last. I'm gonna have to look. I can't remember what exactly we named that. Last access project ID. Come back into our project and we can plop that in there. And now if we come back into our project controller, instead of trying to reach through all of the users and querying through the user model, we can go project.related users with last accessed and just, oh, yeah, there we go. That looks more appropriate. Query dot, and then just delete. So this is not going to, no, sorry, no. That would delete the users. We don't want to do that. We want to update. And then we want to take that key, last access project ID, and just set it to null. Okay. Yeah, that looks right. So now if we come back into here, I'm going to verify that that is set on our current user. It's going to be all the way over to the right. Yep, last access project ID is set to 2, which is this project's ID. So if we delete this changelog project, hit OK, we're taken back here. I don't know why we're still seeing it up there. It might have just been something with the up hungry, didn't actually update it or something of the sort, could be unpoly based. But if we give this page a full refresh, no, it's still up there. Well, that's interesting. We didn't get any error. It redirected me appropriately. Oh, I didn't commit the transaction. That's the issue. So we have that. We have all of that. Now we just need to await trx.commit. That's the one line there that we're missing. So we hit delete, everything ran, but it didn't actually persist it to the database because we never committed the transaction there. So let's go back into changelog app settings, delete. Okay, there we go. We came back here. You'd see our project defaulted back to Attacast because now it's just grabbing the first project that the user has. And then we would need to update the listing here to show all of the projects that the user has, which that would just be very similar to this, just showing maybe additional details. We do want to add in an indicator stating that this was the last project, or this is the current project, sorry. But I do want to look and see whether or not the last access project ID updated for this user in the database. So right now it's null. That's actually accurate because we're not actually in a project per se at this point. We have a project set, but we didn't go to it. So if we switch to this project, it should have updated now. No, maybe we didn't do that. That's what I was trying to figure out. So whenever we go to edit, so project controller, whenever we go to edit, so here, let's grab auth and let's set that. So auth team project auth user dot last access project ID equals project dot ID. And we already have this up here. So we're using something twice in two different methods. So let's go take that down to our service. So we have try populate user team projects. So let's do public static async update user last accessed. Make both of those optional as well. Okay. And then, oh, we also need the user. Punch my mouse again. So user, and that one will not be optional. Jump back into here. Let's go ahead and grab what we have right here. Paste that in here and get rid of the auth usages. Get rid of that. Explicitly set that to null instead of undefined. We can go ahead and make that null or undefined. It really doesn't matter. Okay. And then we have one more auth usage. We can get rid of that. Okay, cool. So update user last accessed. We have that there. We can get rid of it here. We can do await user service dot update. I don't want to do user service and update user something. We can just do update last access since it's off of the user service. So update last access. Provide in auth.user team. And here we don't have the, yeah, we do have the project. That's right here. So, all right, we're good there. Let's go ahead and give that a copy. And then we just need to apply it down here as well. And now that would update that. So now if we come back in here, switch to Adacasts, that updates on the actual user record to indicate that that was their last access. Both are null. Okay. Not what I expected. Oh, I didn't bind it. That issue again. All right, let's try that one more time. So we come in here, let's switch to Adacasts, come down in here, let's refresh. There we go. Now we have them set. Let's go ahead and I don't think I clicked anything to cause that. Okay. Let's go and create a new project and we can verify that that updates there as well. Let's bring back the old Changelog app. All right, so we're back at Changelog app. This should now be 2, or yeah, 3 because 2 got deleted. And then we come back in here, switch back to Adacasts, and now it should be back to 1. And there it is. Okay, cool. So we have a lot of this flow done for the project. My voice is starting to give out, so I think we're gonna end the stream here. Thank you for all those who watched or may watch here in the future. And hopefully you all have a good holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. If I don't happen to stream between now and then, which I'm sure I will. But thank you all for watching. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. And I will see you all tomorrow for our new lesson. All right. I'll see you all later.